Live. We are live. February 16, 2021. Welcome to Simple Man Radio, the Bobby and Chris show. Chris, I'm just seeing your background now. It's Knicks pride is at an all-time high. I haven't seen the Knicks be this prideful since, the Melo playoff year.
No, I just left the same background I had up last night when I streamed the game. Yeah, man, the Knicks for the first time in a long time. Well, really since the first time since KP, before KP went down with the injury. That year we were kind of starting to show similar progress to what we are this year. We were hovering around 500 at the All-Star break. People were talking about Porzingis for MVP contention in terms of the top 5 or 6. And then he went down with the injury, and then, everything went to hell. But we're kind of right in that area. Similar to where we were before the Melo trade, where we had Amari and Raymond Felton and Danilo Gallinari and Wilson Chandler, and you had a good young field of the team. They were hovering around 500. I just hope the Knicks don't make that same mistake this year. They keep building the right way, because for the first time in a long time, it feels like we got a bright future.
Where are you at with Randall? Because we've talked about, this is, if there's ever a time to trade him, it would be this, but it's like, are you on the hey, we should probably try and lock this guy up or something?
I mean, at this point with Randall, he is playing, people were asking me in the stream last night, who would you compare him to? And I was trying to think of players, and the way he's playing right now, it's almost like DeMarcus Cousins-esque. He's playing that good, maybe a little bit below where DeMarcus Cousins was when he was at his best, but he's playing that good, and the guy's only 26, put up 44 last night. I think he's in the long-term plans at this point. I think he's at least going to see next year's extension, and then maybe if he falls off, you decide not to extend him, but he's definitely going to be here next year. I don't think the Knicks should trade him.
He's a perfect fit for Thibs. It really is. And he's always gotten the best out of those fours, whether, Carlos Boozer, even a guy like Taj Gibson, who you guys, know all too well.
Right.
He gets the best out of those guys. And then seeing, I haven't been, I've watched the fourth quarter of your guys' games, but Derrick Rose, man, it's all of a sudden Obi Toppin's playing well. I'm excited for you guys. I feel like it's a pretty exciting time right now where it's things are going well. Obviously the NBA, you guys are the 6th seed. I know you're, it's in the East, it's everyone's under 500 right now. But we might at this point, if the season ended, we would have a Nets-Knicks 7-game playoff series.
You guys are the 3 right now?
Yes.
Wow. Yeah.
I need that. This show needs that. That would.
We'll see. We still got a long ways to go. As a Knicks fan, I'm just trying to take it one game at a time, and hopefully we make the playoffs. That's still the hope, and I definitely think we can. The way this team is playing right now, Derrick Rose, like you said, was kind of a move that I wasn't upset about because we didn't give up anything.
Nothing. You didn't give up anything.
Yeah, we got rid of Dennis Smith Jr. and a second-round pick, which we could easily get back if we trade a guy like Neil Aquina or Knox. But I wasn't super excited about it. I was we'll see. We'll see if he has any impact on this team. And even last night, even though the stats may not indicate it, I think he was 3-9 shooting, 8 points, 3 assists. When he's out there, the ball just moves better. The second unit just looks much smoother with Rose on the floor. And who knows, maybe the Knicks go out there, and I don't think they're going out for a Beal, because I think that would be a mistake. You'd have to give away guys like Barrett and 3 or 4 first-round picks. But maybe you get a guy like Oladipo, who's got, injury concerns. He's on the last year of his deal. Maybe you get him on a cheap deal. Maybe you trade Knox, Neil Aquina, and a second-round pick or something like that. You bring in a guy like Oladipo to this offense, and, maybe this is a legitimate playoff team by year's end. But Rose has definitely brought a lot of optimism. Quickly, of course, that guy's a walking bucket, and I'm just really excited about this team right now. Great effort last night.
Yeah. I tuned in towards the end, but it's exciting time in Knicks land, man, and like you said, Derrick Rose has been a huge plus, but he was you guys didn't give up anything. Dennis Smith is a 0 at this point in his career.
Yeah,
he's nobody, and he wasn't even he wasn't playing for you guys. And then second round pick, that's nothing. That's nothing.
For people listening, I say it all the time. A second round pick in the NBA, it's not near comparable to a second-round pick in the NFL. It's like a sixth-round pick in the NFL.
It's not even. It's like a sixth-round pick you can get behind. Second-round pick, this dude's probably never even going to play for our team.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now if you trade a bunch of them, then it becomes more because you lose trade chips. But you guys are golden with that. So That being said, I do get excited for the Nets second round pick every year. Reggie Perry. Like I believe the guy's the next Serge Ibaka. So,
Well, the Knicks. I mean, Mitch Robinson was a second round pick. He's productive.
yeah, there's guys that come out. It's so unlikely.
You find it here and there, but like you said, it's not that common. Quickly was a near second round pick this year. He was 24th or 25th or whatever. So once in a while you'll find a diamond in the rough, but usually the percentages say that those guys either won't make the team or they won't have much of an impact. So
Right.
It was definitely worth it.
Right. And then my Nets. I feel so good. KD's out right now. James Harden is such an amazing passer. It's crazy. And, Kyrie came out and said Saturday night, he's like, we had a conversation that I'll be the shooting guard, James will be the point guard. And it's crazy how much better he makes everybody. And it's I always have a hard time judging how good of a passer a player is. But what really shows you how good of a because it's assist numbers, and you can't watch every NBA game, so you can look at Westbrook's assist numbers and be like, oh wow, he's a great passer. It's like, nah, not really. He's just kind of he crashes, and then sometimes there's people to kick out, and it's like he's not setting guys up. With Harden, the test of a good passer is what does he do with players that you already know, and he makes them all better. I mean, Jeff Green, going off. Like Harden has been killing it as a passer, as a point guard, and the whole idea of like the whole one ball, like, getting these three guys to work together, Harden has been the biggest piece in it because like he has taken a step back. A guy who can average 36 points per game is like, hey, I'm not going to worry about scoring a ton. I am going to be the facilitator. And, if this ends up turning into a championship, I think people are going to I really think it's going to change the view of Harden, because Harden's been looked at as a selfish player, an annoying player, but that he takes this role as like, hey, I'm sitting back and I'm going to be the passer. I don't need to score 30 a game. I really think this is going to change the way we look at James Harden 15 years from now.
Yeah, I mean, James Harden has always been a great passer. He's just been a ball dominant player. He was a great passer with Houston, but he's always been a guy that he's also going to jack up his 25 to 30 shots.
Exactly.
Yeah, but yeah, I think it's going to work for you guys. I mean, it's just too talented. Those top three between Harden, Irving, and KD, and I think your team's only going to get progressively better. Like we're talking about, your team is the 3 seed right now in the East. I would be willing to bet by year's end that you'll be at least a 2 seed. I think they're only going to get progressively better as these guys get more accustomed to playing with one another. Come playoff time, I'd be surprised if the Nets don't at least make the Eastern Conference Finals. It's just too much talent at the top of the roster. I personally still don't think you could stack up with the Lakers if Anthony Davis is healthy, and we got to see what happens with that Achilles. Just because I think their depth is so much better than yours, and I think that'll play a factor in a 7-game series. But you guys are definitely contenders. Anybody who doesn't think so is wrong.
I'm pretty confident we're going to win the East. Like, it's not easy, but I'm confident we'll win the East. I agree with you. The Lakers are tough, but I also have seen LeBron. Like,
you never know. Get there and find out.
LeBron's title is totally legit. Like the people are like, oh, Mickey Mouse title is totally legit. But it was one of the easier paths he's ever had. He didn't have to face the Clippers, and I love the Nuggets. I'm a fan of the Nuggets.
We didn't have to travel either, by the way.
Nope. Jokic and Murray. It's just, I love those guys. They're nothing that LeBron is like up sleeping at night about, thinking about. Yeah. Obviously he actually does do that, but you know what I mean. And then the Miami Heat. Fun story, but they were never going to compete with the Lakers. They didn't have, and then they got hurt. They lost Dragic and Bam in the series, so they were never going to compete. So it was one of the easier paths for LeBron, which he deserves. His paths have been like, the East has been weak, but the finals have been brutal for him. Like facing that Warriors team, there's been some brutal teams he's had to face.
The Spurs are tough.
A big three like this. LeBron ain't sleeping at night. I'm like, how the hell are we going to defend these people? So that's my hope. That being said, Anthony Davis, I was watching ESPN yesterday. They seem worried about Anthony Davis, like that this injury may be for real. And if that happens, the Lakers are not winning without Anthony Davis.
No. If the injury is legitimate, the Lakers, I mean, LeBron will still get them, probably at least into the second round of the playoffs, but without Anthony Davis, they are no longer a threat to win a championship. I agree with you on that. They need Anthony Davis.
Yeah, they have to have Anthony Davis to win the championship. Where are you as a fan? Like, because I've never won basketball is the one sport my team's never won a title.
Right.
The whole idea of like you beat the best. Like, I'm not rooting for Anthony Davis to be injured, but I can't lie and say that seeing that doesn't get me a little excited that like,
Well, then you have a better chance to win a championship.
Yes, and screw the you want to play them at full strength. Screw that. I want to win a championship. I don't care how it comes. I don't care if they replace them with the UConn JV team. I want a freaking championship no matter what it takes. So I'm definitely I'm not rooting for injury, but I'm also not like feeling bad.
You're not crying about it.
No, like I'm not like, oh man, I wanted to play them at their best. If we win a championship next year, I want to play them at their best.
Exactly.
Get me the one.
That's what I was gonna say. I mean, you're a Nets fan too, so same thing for you. But as a Knicks fan, I'm born in '85. Never saw this, the '70s championships. I don't care how you win it. I don't care if the whole league gets COVID and the Knicks just by default win a championship. Win your first championship, and then you worry about beating them at their best. I want to experience that first championship. So I completely agree with you on that. If Davis is out. Not that you're happy he's out, but you're not going to lose sleep over it as a Nets fan if it increases your chances to win a title.
Yeah, I'm not going to feel bad about winning a title and Anthony Davis isn't playing. Like, do the Heat feel bad that Dragic and Bam got hurt in the final? Like, no, or the
Heat. Let's be real here. The Heat only made the finals because of the bubble.
Yeah,
like the Heat
I don't know, man. The Bucks, they are a flawed. Giannis is a flawed superstar.
Choke, man.
He's a flawed superstar. He can't shoot. He can't, and he's.
What about the Celtics? I feel like the Celtics might have went had it not been a bubble.
The Celtics are another team where I think they are. I think they should have, but it's like you know what? Like Jimmy Butler is kind of like that alpha dog. Like they figured out a way to beat that Celtics team, and maybe like the Celtics are kind of like mentally weak. I think the Celtics are a better overall team, but I don't view the Heat beating the Celtics as like some crazy upset.
Yeah. No, I guess not. They just got hot. They got hot at the right time. You rarely see that in basketball, though.
We forgot what basketball was like because the last 8 years we've had these super teams that are they're going. And last year was the first year we had no big three. There was no big three in the NBA. And we actually, on an episode of Talking Sports, we went through who has the best third player. And I think the best one was Jalen Brown. And then looking back, Kemba Walker, Kemba Walker would be that guy, because I think Jalen Brown's better than Kemba now.
Jalen Brown's definitely the second best now, yeah.
Yeah. At the time, we were kind of viewing it as like, Tatum and Kemba, but, we were probably wrong and doing that. But I think we ranked Mike Conley
maybe
as the best one in the West.
Maybe the Jazz is Gobert or Conley.
Yeah, it's like we forgot that basketball wasn't like we didn't know who was going to the finals every year until LeBron joined the Heat. And then LeBron made it 8 years in a row, which is insane.
And then you got the Warriors with Durant and
So
but I don't think even this year I don't think it's a shoo-in on either side. I think the Nets probably a slight favorite for me, but I could easily see the Celtics going. The Sixers are playing good, but you worry about Simmons in the playoffs because he can't shoot.
The Sixers.
I don't think it's a shoo-in in the East at all. I think there's 3 or 4 teams that can win in the East.
There is, but I feel there's the Sixers can, even though the Sixers got to show it to me. Like it's awesome that you guys are doing awesome right now with Doc Rivers. Show it to me. I'm tired of, and they can say, oh well, we are one bounce away from beating the Raptors. Like, well, you know who you had on that team? Jimmy Butler. Who was the alpha dog on that team? Jimmy Butler. Who took over at the end of those games? Jimmy Butler. He's not on your team anymore.
Embiid's playing at an MVP level this year.
Yes, he is. But it's like, let me see in the playoffs, dude. I just saw you guys get swept and show no heart. I want to see you guys do it in the playoffs.
Yeah.
The Sixers, well, we don't have a center. DeAndre Jordan sucks. And Andre Drummond, I guess that could be a topic. It's looking like we might not get him. It looks like somebody might trade
Andre
for him.
Drummond, and I don't know his numbers. People have told me he's not playing well this year. But here's the thing with Andre Drummond, like as a Nets fan, like what do you guys have to offer at this point? Like
it'd be a buyout.
Oh, it'd be a buyout. Oh, okay.
But he might get traded. My hope though is now that Blake Griffin's having issues in Detroit, that whoever wanted Drummond is going to trade, like whether it's the Raptors, they can trade for him, and then Drummond is forced into a buyout because they're not even playing him anymore. They're
Yeah.
like, we're not playing you. Like it's that bad of
And then he gets to pick and choose where he wants to go.
yeah.
He'd probably pick the Nets at that point.
I couldn't imagine my Nets.
Maybe
I
he
have
picks the Lakers if Davis is out.
yeah, but they got Gasol, Harrell.
Yeah.
I don't know. Pick the Nets, Andre Drummond. You will we'll
The Nets make more sense. They need a center desperately.
yeah. We just signed Andre Robertson. So that means we could get rid of Shumpert now.
Shumpert, original Nick.
I know, man. I remember the Shumpert hype. I mean, Shumpert hype was real when he first started because he played good for a
Shumpert was quickly now. Quickly's better than Shumpert was back then, at least as an offensive player. But
yeah.
Shumpert he was kind of like Neil Aquina. Everybody loved his defense when he first came up with the Knicks. I thought he was going to be not a great player, but I thought he was going to be a good player. I was pissed when we traded him.
Yeah, he played a decent role on that Cavs team. So.
Yeah, we traded him and J.R. Smith together, and we didn't even get a first-round pick, I think. I think we got like a second round, 2 seconds or something like that. I was pissed when we made that trade.
Who did Dion Waiters get traded for with the Heat? Or with the Cavs?
I can't remember.
They figured out real quick. It's like, oh, he doesn't fit in with us.
I can't remember.
I remember Dion Waiters hated Kyrie and Tristan Thompson. He's like, they play buddy ball. It's like, man, this is like this. You're on like the worst team in the NBA, and you can't figure out a way to like just get some type of touches.
Yeah. Dion Waiters did nothing with the Cavs back then. Nothing.
I watched him in the bubble though, in those like preseason bubble games, and he was balling. And then they just didn't play him.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little college basketball. And I don't watch college basketball. I watch the conference tournaments and then obviously March Madness.
Yeah.
I just was interested by this topic. This player for Duke, he's a freshman. Duke freshman forward and projected lottery pick Jalen Johnson has opted out of the remainder of the 2021 season. And then John Rothstein. Do you know who John Rothstein is?
He's a writer.
He's a huge college basketball fan. Like maybe the biggest college basketball fan ever. Like he loves it. And he said opting out with 3 weeks left in the regular season isn't opting out. It's quitting. And then the Blue Check Brigade came to like, oh, he's not quitting. He's putting his future in his hands. Where do you stand on that? Because where it bothers me is like, yes, he has every right to do that. But you can also say he quit. Like he quit because things weren't going right for Duke. Got benched.
Duke's been bad this year.
Yeah, they might not make the tournament. And then supposedly, like I said, I don't watch college basketball, but I was reading and supposedly he got like his minutes lowered and benched. So it's okay to say that he quit. You can say it's the right decision. Like, he has every right to do it, but he also quit. And you can say like, hey, when the going gets tough, this guy quits. So it's okay to say that and also say it's a perfectly fine decision because they're not getting paid.
Yeah, no, I'm in complete agreement with you on that. I'm a St. John's fan. I don't follow it nearly as closely as I should. I'm going to watch the game tonight because St. John's actually starting to play better. But Duke, I was shocked. I had him on the TV the other day, and they were like 7-8 or something like that. I'm like, what the hell is this? But yeah, this story sounds to me, and I don't know a ton about it, that he's not doing good. He got benched. He's pissed off, and he sees he has an opportunity to just sit out and not further potentially affect his draft stock. He's probably looking at it like, well, right now maybe I'm a top 10 pick. If I keep playing and I keep getting benched and I'm not playing well, it'll hurt my draft stock. So I think that's what it is. But he's clearly quitting. He's quitting on his teammates. He's quitting on his team. That's all this is. Now you could argue because of the virus, but if he was really that concerned about the virus, he would have sat out at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is it has nothing to do with the virus, which is it's fine. Like it's totally fine. It's his right. College athletes aren't paid. Eventually I think there should be some way where these guys can just make money off of their name.
I completely agree with that. I don't understand, Bobby, and we could have a whole show on this. I don't understand how these universities could sell video games, they could sell jerseys, they could sell tickets, they make all this money off these athletes. And don't get me wrong, they're getting a free education, I get that. But that's essentially getting paid less than minimum wage. As an athlete for the amount of money that they generate for these coaches, for the universe. Like the coaches are getting $3, $4, $5 million at some of these big college programs, and the players don't make anything. So
and the arguments are so bad against it. This is what they should make. It's as simple as this: they get their the only thing the college gives them is scholarships. Guess what? If he wants to sign autographs for money, let him make money. If a booster wants to pay him $800,000 to show up, then let the booster do it. It's no. These kids have every right to go make money off of who they are. So that's the argument against it. And then the argument is like, well, it'll ruin the competitive balance of college sports. One, it's supposed to be amateur sports. I know that it's a huge moneymaker in America, but it is amateur sports. And then two, what competitive balance? Look at the college football playoff every year. Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, and like Notre Dame every other year. Like, what competitive balance are you talking about? If anything, it gives smaller schools a chance. Look at SMU back in the day when they were paying guys. SMU is not some football Southern Methodist University. They're not supposed to be some football powerhouse. Yeah. So it actually gives, like, hey, like there's some random booster at the University of Kansas who wants to, pay Trevor Lawrence $5 million to come play for Kansas and change the team, or pay for whatever. Then let them do it. Like I think it would make the competitive balance more fair because they, there's only so many guys boosters can pay. So I think guys will spread out more than instead of just being like, hey, Alabama gives me the best chance to be, a NFL player. I think it'll spread it out a little more.
Yeah, and the other thing you've already started to see some of the better prospects go overseas to get paid. The other thing that I think the NBA could do if college continues to do this for these players, let them play in the G League.
They are doing that though.
Yeah. So, but I think you'll see more players do that.
Yeah. The thing with that though is some players are doing it. I think college basketball still does offer them marketing. Like the college tournament, there's no marketing like that. I mean, I don't know who John Morant is without watching conference tournaments.
Steph Curry, Davidson.
Exactly. Is it Zion at Duke is way bigger of a deal than Zion in the G League.
That's 100%.
So as much
for that to make sense, it would have to be a guy like LeBron. Like when LeBron, everybody knew LeBron before he went to college.
Could you imagine LeBron a year in college? Like, did you ever think about that? Like LeBron goes to Duke. That would have been nuts if they had that rule back then.
Oh my God, LeBron in college would have been unfair. Like Carmelo, there you go. They went in the same year. Carmelo was unbelievable in college. LeBron would have doubled him. Like that's one of the greatest stories of college basketball history, though. Carmelo with Syracuse.
Yeah.
What they did. I don't remember what seed they were, but they went on a crazy run. Kemba Walker, same thing. He had an incredible run with the UConn Huskies.
Yeah.
So what happens? But LeBron would have just dominated.
Yeah, and he would have went to Duke. I don't care. I don't want to hear that he was going to go to Ohio State. He was going to Duke or UNC. So yeah, that would have been cool. Oh, and then so I was reading some of the blue checkmark responses, and people are so dumb. Things you quit are called jobs. You usually get paid for them. It's like, that's not true. And I replied, you could see in the bottom, Zach playing Madden. I can't quit this game. It's not even my job. I love the blue check. It's like, yes, you can quit. I hate this idea that it's just extreme ends. Like, yeah, John Rothstein probably was a little more irked than he should have been. But it's like, it's okay to say somebody quit. Like, they're adults. We're not sitting here like throwing stones at 12-year-olds. Like, he quit. He quit on his team because it wasn't going well. It's 100% true. And honestly, you could say, oh, but guess who's going to look at him a little differently because of that? NBA teams. They will.
Yeah.
And they have every right to.
Yeah, no, I'm in complete agreement with you on that. That it's not a good look. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and then playing meaningless games while he's hurt during a global it's like that's all true. And then I found out he I guess he had quit on his high school team and did that. So he's got some type of reputation, but I don't know. It is what it is.
It's gonna hurt his draft stock. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, I don't know who he is. Like he's projected lottery pick. That could mean he's top. He means he's going 14th, or is he a top 5 guy? Right. Let's look up NBA mock draft.
Yeah, I was doing that myself right now.
Let's see. These mock draft articles are so hard to read. So you got Cade Cunningham, the Oklahoma State guy. I've heard his name.
Right.
That's who you guys are rooting for, right? Knicks fans. I guess everyone's rooting for him.
I actually want to be picking 30th at the end of the year at this point.
That's true. Evan Mobley, the center from USC. I know him. He's huge.
He's big.
Jonathan Kuminga. I don't know him. Jalen Suggs. I don't know him. Jalen Green. Don't know him. Scotty Barnes. Where's this Jaden Springer? Moses
I
Moody.
don't
Okay, so
see,
he's not even a top 10 projected.
yeah, I don't see him.
So this definitely is going to hurt him.
I have him at 21 on this mock.
Oh yeah, then this definitely hurts him.
Yeah.
If he was like a top 5 pick, I don't think it would hurt him at all. But if he's going in the end of the first round, then I think this definitely hurts him.
For sure. He probably didn't want to stay another year in college, and he knew if he kept playing, it was going to hurt his draft stock, and he'd have to stay another year. And he said maybe this is the best course of action. But yeah, not a good idea, especially this late into the season for your draft stock. Bad idea.
Man, if Duke doesn't make the tournament, that's going to be so weird. And we didn't have a tournament last year, and then a tournament with no Duke.
Would be like Italy.
When's the last time Duke didn't make it? Was it the 80s?
It has to. I mean, maybe they missed one with Krzyzewski. I don't know. I don't think so, though. But that would be like Italy missing the World Cup 4 years ago, whenever it was. Every year you expect Duke to be in there. They were horrible before Krzyzewski got there.
24.
Started at Army. 24 years?
24 years. So I guess in 97. 97.
So,
yeah, Krzyzewski was there when Billis was there, right?
Yes, I think so, yes. Krzyzewski started in like the late 80s, I want to say, with Duke.
Yeah, it was
maybe very early 90s.
Yeah. So I guess they missed one random year in 97.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be weird. It'd be the first time me watching sports I would notice that.
What's their record right now? I think they're under 500 or right around 500.
Duke record. I'm a member of Duke Gang football-wise. They are 6-6. Or no, that's conference. They're 8-8.
So they're 500. They were 7-8, I think, when I was watching the game.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They're the 9th ranked team in the conference. That's crazy.
Unless they go on a run and win the ACC or at least advance deep into the ACC tournament, they're probably not going to make the tournament. That's crazy.
Yeah, Virginia's good again. So, like I said, I'm a tournament guy only.
They always choke Virginia in the tournament, don't they? Usually.
But they won the last one.
Yeah. I'm saying, but generally they usually choke.
Yeah, it was like before that. It's like Virginia. Remember they lost to the 16 seed? What was the name of that school? It was like University of like Delaware. I can't remember. They were like the Hound Dogs or something.
Yeah, but they were the team that lost to a 16 seed. Yeah. They generally choke. Last year, of course, they won, but they usually choke.
And they almost lost the year they won the championship. It was very tight in that game. It was the University of Maryland, Baltimore County.
That's who beat them?
Yeah, they were the Retrievers.
Yeah. I never thought I'd see that, a 16 seed beating a 1.
You know, the first episode of Simple Man Radio was right after that game. Like that was one of the topics on the first episode of Simple Man Radio. So that's pretty cool.
Let me ask you something about the tournament since it's coming up. I'm sure we'll talk about do our brackets and stuff. But let me ask you something about that. Are you a guy that roots for a lot of upsets, or do you like to see the better teams advance so you get better games later into the tournament?
First weekend, the round of 64 and 32. I want to see upsets. Yeah. Upsets are cool.
Yeah.
But then it's like you want to see a good Final Four.
Yeah.
But like a team like Loyola Chicago who made it a couple years ago, and then what was the freaking team? I'm forgetting. I'm so bad at remembering this stuff now. I'm getting older. What was the team that was green and they lost to the Gators in the Final Four?
Oh, yeah, I know the team you're talking about.
George Mason.
Yep. And then I think they went back to the Elite Eight like the next year or something like that.
Yeah. How about Butler? How about Butler going to the national championship?
Lost on the full half court shot.
Gordon Hayward. And then the next year they make it again. Like that's crazy without Gordon Hayward. Sheldon Mack, the Howard kid, the center on that team actually.
He was like a YMCA player, that guy, Matt Howard.
I know. I loved him. And then he sucked in the first quarter. He kept on missing those shots around the rim in the first half of that game. He actually died, that guy.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Wow. So way to ruin the mood, Bobby.
And now they got like the best coach in the NBA, or one of, Brad Stevens. So
it is crazy. A random Butler team had Gordon Hayward, Sheldon Mack, NBA player, and then Brad Stevens as their coach.
And you talk about what the tournament could do for people. Look what it did for them. I mean,
yeah, exactly. Gordon Hayward's probably not even in the NBA if it's not for the tournament.
And Brad Stevens. I mean, He's not coaching the Celtics if it's not for the tournament. So
yeah, so there's
pretty
definitely
crazy.
there's definitely pros to college basketball. Like the people who say college basketball, like college sports is like slavery, like they're nuts. It's like it's not slavery. Like it's they have the free
It
will.
could improve. It could improve, but it's
Yeah.
not slavery.
Yeah, like don't be very crazy.
Yeah.
So we're at the 30-minute mark. By the way, I got rid of Bet of the Day. It was such a useless segment. We didn't care, and I was like, I'm just, you know what? I'm getting rid of this segment.
Yeah. I think it was 500, maybe.
I think you passed 500 with your last Bet of the Day. So
did I? That? All right, so maybe I won.
So yeah, and I won the last one too, and that put me above 500. So I think exactly what I did is I got both of us over 500, and then we ended the segment. So I created a Discord.
Yo, let's talk about that.
You did. They are mean on there. Like they just fight all day. Do they fight like that in your server or whatever it's called?
I've had a Discord server now for over a year. Like I've had it for a while. It's fun. It helps build your community. I'm pretty active in it, probably more so than most people. But yeah, no, there's a lot of fighting. Definitely. Sometimes you'll get people that are saying stuff they shouldn't be saying. You kick those people out, and yeah, no, it's definitely it's like any chat room, I guess, but it's they go at it a little bit.
They go at each other's throats, and then so I made one for Talking Giants. Like this isn't simply like your New York, like because there's the New York Giants server, it's like that's awesome. But it's like I don't want this to be a replacement for that. It's like I want this, be show related and talk about conversations and stuff.
Right.
Like we interviewed Renan today. Like we talk about that, and they just immediately like Daniel Jones good or bad? Huh?
You guys interviewed Jordan Renan?
Yeah, we had him on the show today.
Oh, that's awesome. Is that up?
Yeah.
How did that go?
It went good. We talked about when he was like the people who steal our stuff, and he clarified again. He's like, I'm not talking about like people who make videos, and he's like, I'm talking about like the people on Instagram who just straight up steal our news, don't give us any credit. So and I've liked Renan. Like people say he's too negative. I mean, like, well, kind of look at the Giants. Like, before the season, they did the worst record in the NFL over a 3-year span.
I never got the hate. I mean,
I think he's down the middle. He's not going to be a homer, but he's down the middle, and I don't need my beat reporters to be homers. Like, look at Dan. Everyone loves Dan Duggan. He doesn't like pat the team on the back, So I think they're kind of similar, even though I do think Dan is a little better.
He shouldn't have said what he said. Like he could have said it better. So I get why people call him out for it, but when he clarified it, I thought it was fine. And even though I personally think that he's a little over the top with some of his criticisms about the Giants, I don't hate him for it. He's doing his job. And I never got I don't get all the hate that Renan gets. I think he's a guy that just does his job. You might not agree with all of his opinions, but you're not going to agree with all of my opinions. You're not going to agree with all of Bobby's opinions. It's impossible. So I see nothing. I don't think there's anything bad about Jordan Renan.
Yeah, it was good. We talked about we spent the probably first 30 minutes talking about like how the coaching staff works and Judge's relationship with Garrett, and he was like, hey, like it was rocky. Like they weren't, they
really?
weren't. Yeah, he was like, hey, the offense sucked. He's like, Joe Judge wasn't happy with that, So we talked about all that, the Mark Colombo stuff, the new coaches.
Yeah, what do you think about Kitchens in that role? Do you think that's going to help the offense?
That's another thing. And he actually reported that news. I do. I mean, so you remember that game against the Browns with Colt McCoy? That was the most aggressive they had. The passing game was all year under Freddie Kitchens. And going into that game, I was like, this game is going to tell us a lot because we're going to find out how much of this offense is Joe Judge or Jason Garrett. And then we found out it's more Jason Garrett. And this is where I kind of have some positivity going into obviously everyone knows I'm not a fan of Jason Garrett. But I also know we can have a successful offense with Jason Garrett as a play caller because it's been done before. So you add some weapons, they open it up a little more because they opened it up more against Baltimore and Dallas week 17. Like those games were called semi-aggressivly. So
I thought they opened it up steadily the second half.
Yeah, so if they continue with stuff like that, like if they continue with stuff like that and get better weapons, I think it could be sex. And Jason Garrett does change because as much as I can't stand Jason Garrett, he's not a moron. He doesn't just like he doesn't.
He's been in the NFL for like 12 years as a coach.
Yeah,
he obviously knows something.
yeah, I'm sure he's evaluating himself and seeing what he needs to change. This was his first year with his team, and saying, like, looking back and saying this didn't work. Like, he can't look back and say, oh, it was what I did was fine, unless he's just an asshole. So there is a path to success, but Freddie Kitchens being in that role means something. Like, that's not like Freddie Kitchens being moved into essentially assistant offensive coordinator, which is what that seems to be, is like, to me, that means that Judge is like, hey, we are going to open this passing game up a little more.
Yep, that's what I thought. I said the same thing. It means more that to me that's what it means more than anything is having Kitchens have more of a role. I think Judge is saying we're going to be more aggressive this year, and I think they got to get the weapons to do it, but I think they will. And I do think they're going to open up this offense a lot more next year. I also think they're going to stay committed to the run though. Especially after the offensive line they brought in, the coach rather, that guy's a heavy run guy. So I think they're going to run, but I think they're going to take more shots down the field.
Yeah, and my issue never with Garrett was like, oh, they run it too much. It was just when they do pass it, I couldn't stand the concept. So, I thought he was a good. He was a fun interview. And like I said, we talked about social media and doing different, trying new things and interaction with people. So I always liked Ronald. Like, I'm not like a Jordan Ronald's the best, but I've always thought he called it down the middle for the most part. Is there times where I disagree with him? Yeah, but it's like if I'm hating a guy over that, then I'm gonna hate everybody because
you're always gonna disagree.
I disagree with stuff you say. There's nobody who does Giant stuff where I don't see something they say or make a content about, and I'm like I totally disagree with that. With Justin. Me and Justin will go at it for stuff.
Life would be boring if you agreed with everything.
I know. So I thought he was a good interview, and I think he's a nice guy. Now, if I interview Pat Leonard or Matt Lombardo, come at me, and like you bitch. Like if
Leonard,
I interview,
I'm not a fan of Pat Leonard.
Oh, I can't stand it,
and I'm not a fan of Matt Lombardo.
I can't stand either one of those two. So if I ever interview those two, then come at me. But I've always liked Ronan for the most part. So
yeah, I think he's kind of gotten an unfair reputation these last couple of months, if I'm being honest.
Well, that tweet did him in, which was
he deserves some criticism for that. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. He said the way he said that was horrible. So
yeah.
All right. So you got anything else you want to hit on?
Anything else I want to hit on? I mean, there's not a ton right now. We're kind of stuck in limbo with the Giants. There's not a lot to talk about right now. Kind of waiting a couple more weeks till we get more rumors with free agency and see what we have with the cap and everything else. Basketball, I'm ecstatic about the Knicks. You look at the Knicks' upcoming schedule right now, Bobby. I mean, let's just do that real quick. Magic, Spurs, T-Wolves, Warriors, Kings, Pacers, Pistons, Spurs again. That's their 8 games before the end of the year, end of the first half. So I'm looking at that, Bobby, and I'm saying to myself, they should win at least 4. And if they go 4-4 over that last 8, they're 18-19 at the break. 500 basically. So, and if you win 5, you're 19-18. You're game over 500. So I think that's where we're looking at right now as Knicks fans. And then you get into the break, you get Mitch back, hopefully, and maybe you make a move. Maybe you bring in Oladipo, and maybe it gives the Knicks a chance to finish in the top 4 or 5 in the East. I mean, that's the way I'm looking at it right now, and I'm excited as a Knicks fan.
We desperately need a Knicks-Nets playoff series. I mean, we need it. I need to
second round. Let's win a playoff round first, then we'll take on the Nets.
I say that I want that, but I'm also like, if that happens, I'm going to lose support as a Giants content creator because they're going to be like, you dirty scumbag Nets fan. Like, people are going to hate me so much. Let me ask you this.
Let's say the Knicks add Oladipo, and let's say they're playing hot down the stretch. Obviously, you're huge favorites, but are you a little nervous at all going up against the Knicks because that adds pressure if you lose to the Knicks?
I'm nervous that you guys would steal game 1, which happens all the time in the first round, and that I would fly up to New York and get into a fist fight for my mentions. That would be my worry. Is because if you guys stole game 1, Knicks fans would be insufferable on the timeline, and I would lose my mind. And then what would happen is we'd win game 2 and game 3, and then I would become insufferable, and it probably would be the downfall of Talking Giants going forward.
last time we played you guys swept us in the playoffs. So,
Oh man,
we'll see what happens, man. But
that was the New Jersey days. That was 03, I think. What year was that? Oh,
it was Marbury's first year with the Knicks. So
I think that was 03.
Probably around there. Yeah, right around 03, 04. It was Marbury's first year with the Knicks. They got an 8 seed. That was the only time Marbury made the playoffs, and we got swept by you guys in the first round.
Let me see. Oh, there's a Knicks Nets rivalry on Wikipedia. That's kind of weird. Let's see. What the hell? 1994 playoffs. The 2004. So it was 2004.
Yeah.
We didn't go to the finals that year.
Yeah, but you guys swept that. You guys were the 1 seed that year. We were the 8. You guys swept us.
Yeah, that was the year we lost. I think we lost to the Pistons that year. No, we did go to the Eastern Conference, the finals that year.
Yeah, we acquired Marbury in 03, 04. What a horrible trade that was. My God.
Marbury got us Jason Kidd.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the trade. Jason Kidd for Stephon Marbury. And that, the idea of like how good of a passer is, that's how Jason Kidd was huge. Remember Jason Kidd was on the cover of NBA Live every year?
Jason Kidd was awesome. He's top 5 MVP candidate. But
made so many guys
think about the timeline
money.
Of Marbury. Think about the timeline
second
of Marbury.
to Tim Duncan that year in MVP.
He should have won it, I think.
I do too, but I'm an extreme homer, so you can't.
I thought he should have won it the first year. But think about the timeline of Marbury. Marbury comes up with the Nets. Not the Nets, rather. The Timberwolves ends up on the Nets.
Trade to the Suns.
Then he gets traded to the Suns for Kidd. Kidd goes on to basically win an MVP with the Nets, takes him to the finals twice. Then he gets traded to the Knicks, and Steve Nash makes the Suns the best team in the NBA, basically. They don't win a finals, but they win like 60 games.
That's funny.
Like, think about that.
That's funny. Man, think about the Mavs letting Steve Nash walk.
Yeah.
They had Steve Nash and Dirk on the same team.
Finley was good too on that team.
Yeah, man. The Mavs were really good back. The Western Conference was so fun. That Kings team, I wish that Kings team would have won a title. I
say it all the time. That Kings team is the best team in my lifetime not to win a final since I've been watching basketball. I mean, let's just go over that roster real quick. Vlade Divac, Chris Webber, Mike Bibby, Peja Stojakovic, Doug Christie.
Peja was so underrated. Peja may be the most underrated player of the 2000 to 2010 era.
The guy was a walking bucket.
Or 90s. He was unreal.
He was like a step below Dirk. He was like a step below Dirk when he was at his best. He
got MVP votes some years. Like Peja was a freaking beast.
Yeah. And then off the bench, you had Jim Jackson, Bobby Jackson, Hedo Turkoglu.
Hedo was on the bench of that. Oh my gosh.
Gerald Wallace was on their bench. Remember him?
Yes. That team was unfreaking real, man. That team should have won a damn championship.
That team was loaded.
I mean, they almost did. They went to 7 games with the Lakers, and everyone says the Lakers cheated in that game.
Yeah, I think they were the best team, actually, the Kings, those couple of years. They just didn't win.
Weber.
Yeah, Chris Webber.
Everybody just fell off after that, though, on that team. Like Chris Webber fell off, a few years later. Peja was with the Hornets, but he wasn't the same guy. Bibby fell off. Christie got traded to the Magic. Yeah. He fell off. Like that whole team just kind of fell off after. Besides Hedo. Hedo became a beast for Orlando. Hedo's one of my favorite players too. He was
a good player.
He was so clutch. Like he was one of the most clutch players.
You know who Hedo plays like is what's the guy, the French guy that was on the Spurs? Not Parker, the other guy. Boris Dio. He kind of plays like him a little bit. He's kind of got Dio's game to him. But
yeah,
I always liked Hedo. That team though, that Kings team is the best team I've ever seen not to win a championship.
Yeah, I love that team. It sucks they didn't win one. Yeah. All right, we'll see you guys on Thursday. It'll be me and Chris again. I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about. Appreciate you guys. And stay simple.
Stay simple.